Welcome to the first episode of Cappy Army, where I'm excited to bring you my average soldier's perspective on wars, weapons, and geopolitics. You know, for the past 6 years, I've been recording these videos out of my house here, and the whole time I felt very strongly that this show was built in close collaboration with the feedback you guys sent in the comment section about what you love to see. So I need to start by saying I am so grateful for your support and the trust that you've given me over the years. And it's the reason why I think you guys deserve a full explanation of what all happened behind the scenes, now that I can finally speak freely. In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys why I left Task and Purpose. I also want to tell the story of how the channel grew to 2 million subscribers. And then we'll get into what you can expect from this new chapter. But to fully appreciate where we're going, I want to tell you guys the unlikely story of how we got here. The way I started working for Task and Purpose was back in 2019. I was working at a tech company creating kind of what I felt like were soulless marketing videos about internet routers. As you can imagine, not exactly my dream job, but that's when I saw the veteran-owned website called Task and Purpose posted a job opening looking for a video producer. It sounded too good to be true. I reached out to Patrick Baker for an interview, and he gave me a shot. We would make these funny skits and toss them up on the Task and Purpose Facebook page. Then we'd fly around the entire country, filming advertising spots that would actually pay the bills. We're still friends to this day. I owe Patrick a ton. Right from the start, working at Task and Purpose wasn't just a job for me. It was the culmination of two of my lifelong obsessions. The military and storytelling are the two things I've always been obsessed with in my life. Some have suggested I've got a touch of the tiz and a bit of the riz. When I was 6 years old, I discovered the best way to express the weird thoughts in my head to others was through video. Because unlike in life, video editing, I could cut out all the parts that didn't make sense. It was like magic to me. I wouldn't say I was sheltered growing up on Long Island, but flying to Florida was about the extent of my worldliness. So in 2008, I dropped out of my first year of college when I was 19 years old to enlist in the US Army as an infantryman. Then I deployed right to Iraq. I wanted to support my country and find out the truth about the war for myself with my own eyes. But once I got there, instead of finding the answers that I was looking for, I only seemed to run into a never-ending series of new questions. I wanted to know why the two Iraqi towns outside our outpost were shooting at each other and also trying to kill us at the same time. Why were we capturing bomb makers who came in from Syria but were funded by money coming in from Iran? My squad leader told me, shh, don't worry your pretty little head about such things. Back then, I couldn't check on YouTube for a rundown on the topic. The only information available was what you heard on the big news networks, and they really only gave you 2 points of view, and you were lucky if you got that. And I remember thinking, I wish I could create a show that would try to answer these questions Barney style, dumbed down so someone like me could understand. Once I got back home from Iraq, I finished college, I worked in television for a few years, then marketing for some tech companies, before landing at Task and Purpose, where I was finally able to combine these two loves in my life. And I am just beyond appreciative to them for giving me that opportunity. When I started working there in 2019, the Task and Purpose YouTube channel had 800 subscribers, and nothing had been uploaded on there in months. I asked if I could start uploading videos into the YouTube channel, and since no one said no, I took that as a yes. That's not usually a good idea. That's not life advice. They say talk about what you're passionate about, so at first I talked about firearms. It was by no means an instant success. The YouTube videos I was making were only getting like 200 or 300 views, but the founder of Task and Purpose, Zach Iskel, didn't give up on me. Zach was a Marine infantry officer, a veteran of Fallujah, and in my eyes, he's a certified badass and outstanding leader. Task and Purpose gave me the opportunity to learn the whole YouTube process from start to finish, from researching to writing, shooting, and video editing to creating thumbnails and posting them. It was a scrappy startup environment where having the freedom was exciting for me. And there wasn't much money to invest in the show or get a video team yet, but that was soon about to change. covering the XM7 rifle, the NGSW replacement for the US Army's M4, made the channel explode in growth to over 100,000 subscribers. I was so passionate about that topic. I still am. I want troops to get the best possible firearm replacement. These were exciting times. It felt like nothing could go wrong. Then COVID hit. The office was shut down for good, which meant I had to start working remotely, shooting the YouTube videos out of my tiny one-bedroom apartment in Queens, New York City. It was fine by me. I was lucky to even have a job. My girlfriend at the time, Caitlin, who's now my wife, put up with me taking over the entire living room with the green screen and the cameras and the lighting for hours every day, turning that crammed space into a full production studio. I still don't think I've fully regained my sanity from those days. You could see the green screen goes all the way over my bed here in the back of this photo. There was nothing to do, we were locked inside, so I'd work through the night and into the weekends researching and writing new episodes. I was still completely broke, so I moved back in at my dad's apartment on Long Island for a couple of months to save money. I slept on my dad's futon, drove his old Toyota Camry around, and filmed episodes in his living room. You can see his shelf back there with his Popeye toy on it. I didn't care at the time though. The joke was on them. I would have gladly done it for free. I was doing what I loved. But the channel entered a new era when I started talking about geopolitics and conflict analysis. We tackled the US forces' withdrawal from Afghanistan, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the October 7th attacks. The input from you guys in the community shaped the kind of topics that I chose to cover and the tone of the show. Our relationship, commenting back and forth to each other in the comment section, is what helped drive me. Because seeing you guys like the videos and engage with them is what motivated me. It's what made me want to say hooah in the most unironic way. It was at this point that I needed a spare bedroom as a dedicated studio space, so I moved out to New Jersey, deep into the suburbs of New Jersey, where I could actually afford to pay for a bigger 2-bedroom apartment. On the plus side, the Everything Bagels were still banging. This is when Task and Purpose sold to new owners, and working with them was great at first. They invested in me and the success of the show. I was introduced to Matt Levin, the former CEO of Donut Media, who mentored me and taught me how to double production to 2 episodes per week. Jesse Wood and James Pumphrey, who are now over at Speed, always answered any questions I had about the fickle algorithm gods. Task and Purpose hired a video editor, Nate from Savvy Studios, to help out, and I was promoted to head of video and given full creative control over everything uploaded on the Task and Purpose YouTube channel. We added new members to the team during this time that were absolutely instrumental to the channel's success. All these guys actually asked to join me at Cappy Army when they found out I was leaving. This includes Mike Michaelides, who's the head creative producer and video editor. So much of the look and feel of the show is thanks to Mike's hard work. His insanely detailed map animations and graphics are just heckin' awesome. Diego Acituno, a researcher and himself a former service member. Armando Duarte Galan, former defense analyst and fellow hater of kamikaze drones. Justin Taylor, who's an active duty Bradley commander, and Syed Rahman, a powerhouse of a video editor. We absolutely could not have accomplished what we did without this team's hard work and dedication. I'm so happy and relieved, really, that all these guys are joining me at Cappy Army now. Over the years, we created a total of 500 episodes. You guys, I put everything I had into each and every video. The whole team went hard. And seeing how much you guys liked the videos made it worth it for us. It's the thing I am most proud of in my entire life. However, I knew I had a difficult decision to make, because my contract at Task and Purpose was about to end. I had to decide if I wanted to accept their offer to stay on as head of video. As soon as I got back from reporting on the front lines in Ukraine, I decided I had to leave. Why? When Task and Purpose sold from that little veteran-owned startup, the people working on the YouTube channel, our lives did not change. We didn't make it big for our hard work. I saw in the comments that a lot of people thought I owned Task and Purpose. I did not. I never did. I'll admit I was hoping the owners would see how much I was sacrificing and how I was willing to put literally everything on the line for the channel, and that they would see that and make me a partner in it, but that was never going to happen. I had a personal realization when I was on the front line getting shelled by Russian artillery, and in that moment, I realized that life is too short to not take a chance on yourself. Working for Task and Purpose, once they were owned by a private equity firm, became a very different experience for me. It was no longer the scrappy small startup that I loved experimenting at. Working for an equity firm meant the ability to take risks and cover new things that weren't a guaranteed smash hit became more difficult if I wanted to continue to hit their goals. The whole reason I got into the military and into video production was to take chances and learn. And once we got bought, I felt it becoming less and less about that for me. And after a few years under the new ownership, there started to be larger quotas for growth each year that I had to hit. I started having minimum viewership numbers that were higher each year that I needed to reach. If I didn't hit those numbers, the whole team lost their bonuses. Even though the channel was already extremely profitable and got tens of millions of views, not owning a company means I had absolutely no control over what those goals were and how the team was compensated for their hard work. The pressure for continued growth of the channel after reaching 2 million subscribers, it's reasonable for a company to want that, but I felt like if I wanted to go down that road, then I would have to make creative decisions that for me personally would have compromised the quality of the show. It would not have been good for Task and Purpose, me, or you guys. It would have felt like growth simply for the sake of growth, and I didn't start doing this for that. Ultimately though, this was not mine. I had no ownership over it. I felt like there was a whole part of the company separate from me that disagreed with my worldview that I shared on the YouTube channel, and they didn't like my content. Being the sole perspective on that channel and its face meant I felt like I had to answer for things that other parts of the company reported on that I disagreed with. That kind of situation was not going to be sustainable forever for them or for me. This is when I felt myself becoming bitter over the terms of the contract that the new owners offered. I felt like I was investing more and more into the show by having to scale up and increase the amount of spare bedrooms it required to run this growing operation out of my home, my growing family here, where I've always shot this show from. I turned half my home into a production studio. I felt like I wasn't seeing an equal return on investment in myself, and I'm sure they felt very differently. I'm not saying you should unsubscribe from Task and Purpose and stop watching them. They're good people. I really appreciate what they did for me. I owe so much to them. And it's part of the reason why I wanted to leave when I was still on good terms with them. Because that company gave me so many opportunities and was the greatest professional experience of my life, where I met some amazing coworkers and learned from some very smart people. And the thing is, I didn't want to mess all that up by riding it out, creating new episodes on there when my heart wasn't in it. I would have only been doing it for one reason, because I was scared of losing you guys. And I was going to have to take on the risk of starting my own channel if I was going to get control over these decisions. So I made the difficult decision to not renew my contract as the head of video for them. I decided to start this YouTube channel, Cappy Army. It was important for me that my name be in there because after a while being under a brand name for so long, it starts to feel like it's hard to fully be myself when I'm under someone else's brand name. Here I can go invest my own resources into the look and feel of the show to improve the quality of the work. Sweet new animations, new lighting, new studio. These are things I've wanted to do for a long time now. My mission at Cappy Army is to give you the information, my analysis, my personal insights from my experience as an Iraq veteran and a war correspondent. I'm going to get to do some of the things that really interest me the most, like on-the-ground reporting, mixed in with some deeper dives and longer form content that we're going to experiment with. But the thing I'm most excited about is we cooked up this whole new way of uncovering declassified stories in the national defense world from primary sources that you almost never hear anywhere else. And we're going to cover world events and wars as they happen around the world, no matter how sensitive the topic might be. Nothing's off limits for us. If you've enjoyed the work I've created for you guys over the years, if you appreciate what we're trying to do here, if you're excited about Cappy Army, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It really does go a long way in supporting us just by liking and subscribing, and once you do that, you're officially a part of the Cappy Army. As we launch, our upload schedule here is going to be less frequent. As we get spun up, we'll likely be doing one video a week before ramping up. If you want to support this new venture, the best way to do it right now is to follow me on Instagram or X at Cappy Army. I'm always posting updates about war on there and workshopping video ideas with you. At Cappy Army on Instagram or X to stay connected, and you'll also be able to see the launch of my family in July when my baby girl gets here. You guys really have no idea how glad I am that you found me. I'm super excited for this next phase, and I'm thrilled to have you along for the ride. I'm your everyday infantryman, Chris Cappy, ending this transmission now.